brain fog.
And
Do you have your pack on your neck, Tammy? Your heat thing?
1 second.
Hmm.
Okay, good. Yes, I do.
Good girl. Oh, you're live. Look at
I have
this.
such a migraine. Okay, we are live. Live, live, live. We'll give it a minute and then we'll let some people, pop
Is
on.
the background distracting you guys? With the, I have my blind down.
Nope,
No,
Or
mine's kind
not
of
at
bold
all.
too.
okay.
Not at all.
Oh my sweater, my pillows.
Yeah, I got my pillows
Oh
on.
my God. I have to, while we're waiting, I have to show you this. Can you see?
That's great.
He's got his
Ah!
football cleats on, ready for tryouts.
Aw,
He's so
Oh,
proud of himself. I
that's
just got the
great.
text. So
Oh, that is so cute.
great.
he's 5.
That's
And he's so
Braden.
excited. It's his first team thing that he gets to
Oh my gosh.
be part of. So he's super excited. It's my second youngest grandson. So
I have 4, and our 5-year-old, my husband babysat the other night, and he was mad about something, and he goes, "All right, old man." He called Opa back later to apologize, but it was all
oh,
right,
Oh,
old
how
man.
cute.
It's like,
oh,
what?
that's so
Yeah,
Fun.
funny. That's so funny.
That
That's
is,
great. I love the way he apologized, though.
I know.
that's
Oh,
adorable.
Okay,
okay.
so I'll just
Right.
do the quick intro and we'll get moving along and see. Hi, Barb. Barb's on. Hi, Barb.
Hi, Barb.
Okay, so I'll start the intro and we'll just get things rolling as people start popping in there. We can see them all popping in, and so it'll
Okay.
be fun. Oh, Kylie's on. Okay, so good morning. Welcome to the Girlfriend Chat. It's a
Morning.
podcast where we dive into the depths of real talk on love, life, and everything in between. I'm your host and creator of this awesome show, Tammy Nash, and I couldn't be more thrilled to have you here with us today. So we'll share some stories, some laughter, maybe a few tears, but most importantly, we're going to embrace the raw, unfiltered conversations that make us feel connected. There will be no judgment, no holding back. It's just going to be a safe place for us to explore the beautiful messiness we call life. Okay, so today is our topic is chronic illness and how we cope. And it's going to be interesting to see what we all have to share and say about it because we all have our individual struggles, and everybody is so different in how they cope and what they need in order to feel comfortable. So there's no right or wrong way. So it'll be fun. We might learn something from each other.
Mhm.
It's just what we're meant to do here is be supportive of each other. I want this to be a woman supporting women group. At the end of our talk, I'd like for you, if you have a business, to go ahead and raise your hand if you want to say something about it, introduce it, and then maybe type your URL in the comments so that we all can support each other and go to each other's businesses, and maybe there's something that goes, wow, I've been looking for something like that my whole life.
Yeah.
So it's at the end of our chat, we'll share each other's businesses and support each other that way as well. So I just want to put a little pointer out there. I don't want to see any really bashing of anybody on the comments, and I will get rid of anybody who does that. I will not argue or anything with anybody. I'll just be like, boop, gone. So I'm not into confrontation. I hate it. So anyhow, so let's get started. I wrote up a guideline that we're going to follow, and mostly what I want to do is talk to you about my friend Angie, who wrote the 3 books that I mentioned, and I'm not sure if it'll allow me to put a photo in here, but the 3 books are What I Learned Lying Down, God Smiles, and The Deep Calls to Deep. So this one talks raw about depression. It's
Yeah.
quite an incredible story. She is a very strong faith woman who uses a lot of God as her coping mechanisms in prayer and so forth. And so these books will guide you through that journey if that is something that you love and follow. And so, so I will be referring to those books later in the talk so that you kind of get a idea of who Angie is. I have a outline in my story here. So let's just get started. I'm going to read just a few little bit and then we'll have raw talk. Okay. So in the intricate tapestry of our lives, there are threads that are often unseen, yet they shape us in profound ways. One such thread is a thread of strength, resilience, and love through the journey of coping with chronic illness. I have mentioned in this chat that chronic illness is mostly invisible diseases, right? People have no idea that you are suffering when you look put together. And they will be very confrontational and tell you, you don't look bad, you look great, don't you know? And that's part of what I'm going to talk about today. Living with chronic illness is not just a personal battle, it's shared journey that has bound us in ways we could have never imagined. It tests our patience, our compassion, and our ability to find beauty amidst challenges. We're here today to make sure everyone knows that you're not alone, that we want to support you and be supported ourselves. So today, as we discuss coping with chronic illness, we're not just delving into the intricacies of managing your health, we're celebrating the unwavering support, the countless acts of kindness that you'll find throughout your day, a light guiding our path. Together, we've learned that even in the face of adversity, life can be beautiful. It's so difficult to realize that in a day-to-day when you're struggling with so much pain. And I'm here to tell you, it is one of the worst things to feel alone and unable to figure out how to live with this new way of life. And I can promise you, I have been sick since 2004, and probably the first 7 years of my being sick was the hardest because I had no idea how to live. I could feel myself choking up. I absolutely had no idea how to live. And it was, one devastating thing after another. And, my life was almost taken a couple of times. And, it's just has been a learning battle. And I had nobody to turn to because I didn't know anybody else suffering with chronic illness. And so it was very important. It was very hard. And I met this girl, not Angela, another Angela who embraced me, and she's passed now, and brought me into these support groups that pretty much saved my life, beside my family. They were like inspiring to me to know that, oh, you're feeling that too? Okay. That sort of thing. So we'll discuss the importance of understanding good health. What is a flare-up and its impact on your overall well-being, identifying common triggers for flare-ups and coping strategies. And we're going to discuss what is, I call, a gift from lupus, or any chronic illness is, they're just gifts that keep on giving, right? You just keep on getting more diagnoses after diagnosis, and they're all kind of like symptoms of those diseases. And Dawn can talk more medically on that for us, but depression, whether it's situational or chemical, is very tough thing to get through, and especially the isolation. And so Angie, in the book Deep Calls to Deep, she talks so much about isolation and how she just didn't know how she was going to continue living the way she was feeling in her depression. So let's get into it. I'll just read kind of a definition. Triggers cause flare-ups. What are triggers? They can be just about anything in our world, right? And so understanding what they are is essential for understanding and maintaining your health and to help reduce the occurrence of the impact of your flare-ups. Right now, currently, I am in a massive flare, and I have been for 13 months now since my daughter's wedding. So that flare up came from the stress of, getting the wedding on and doing all the physical work, but mostly because I got COVID right then. And it just kicked me out of remission and put me into this wicked pain cycle that, I find myself in now. And so, a flare up in the context of health conditions refers to sudden and often unpredictable worsening of symptoms associated with your chronic or recurring medical condition. So these symptoms can range from mild to severe and can vary depending on your specific condition. So they're characterized by temporary exacerbations of symptoms and can be triggered by various factors, including stress, which is probably, would you say, Dawn, the most cause of flare-ups is the stress on your body, stress on your mind, right?
Yeah, when I was reading your outline yesterday, I thought about stress, and so often I think that's dismissed, especially when the sufferers are women.
Mm-hmm.
And not that men aren't under stress, but I think women especially, because we play so many different roles, and we're for every one thing I think my husband's aware of, and and has kind of on his plate, I've got 5 things. I'm the one that walks past something and thinks, oh, that needs to be done, or remembers the birthdays, and even the good things can be stressful. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, women carry so much more. The man is the provider, right, in the sense of the world, but not much anymore, right? It's like I think we women do it all, and we do. It's like, but we we still keep the house. I'm the one who does all the finances too, and carry a job and take care of all the children's needs and so forth and so forth, and the emotional support of everybody. And so it can be, just like you say, good stress and bad stress can really play a part in our flare-ups. Environmental changes, dietary choices, natural course of the underlying condition itself. And so when I dietary stuff, I have to say, I've been seeing a functional medicine doctor, and I did a blood test and showed all of the foods that are actually flaring me up. And so that not like allergy, like a real allergy, but an allergic reaction type thing. And so I eliminated everything in the bad columns and made a huge difference in the swelling in my body and the uncomfortableness, and even my GI mobility, because I have, problems with GI mobility between the gastroparesis and the IBS. So it was huge for me to do that. And it also dropped all the postmenopausal weight, like by 4 months, it was all gone. It was quite good for me. And so something that I have recommended to my daughter, who just found out, she has Hashimoto's. So during a flare up, you can feel, extreme, much more pain, right? I feel swelling in my body. I have this feeling that I say feels like poison coursing through me in the depths, like deep in me. It just feels like, and I've never been poisoned, but I'm just saying that's what I would think poison felt like. It's like deep in you, and just like, oh, it's like such a sick, awful feeling. And then I feel it in my trigger points because I have fibromyalgia too. So all my trigger points just feel like they're being, the tendons are being stretched. And oh, did you find it now? I see. And so anyways, during a flare up, those extreme fatigue is common. What are some of the symptoms any of you guys feel like when you're feeling your worst? You can type it in the comment, or you can say.
Oh, I'm trying to find the comment. Oh, the weirdest thing, Tam, you and I talked about this the other day, a full moon. So I'm newly diagnosed with RA. We knew something was going on for a long time. I just didn't know what. And that's how Tammy and I, we knew each other from the wigs, but then she was like, Carol, you might have lupus because you have every symptom going on. well, it's rheumatoid arthritis. And he goes, there's different stages of it. And I'm in a third stage, which was because it was undiagnosed for so long that it just went. But I notice when there's a full moon, and it sounds weird, I know I'm going to have a flare or a trip. That's my flare. And we had a family reunion, and it always starts after the full moon or the end of the month, and then it'll last for at least 14 days. But we had a family reunion on August the 5th. Everybody from all over the country. I could only be there for a couple of hours. I had to leave. The heat. The heat exasperates everything as well. It makes you feel even more horrible. I don't know if the heat works. Like, I remember when you were putting the wedding together, Tammy. Oh my gosh.
The heat. Sorry about that distraction. My husband needed something.
Oh, that's okay.
But I was like, I
Oh,
can't
wait,
do it right now.
don't
He's like
start.
still
No.
standing there. Yes, the heat is terrible. The heat is probably one of the worst things. And Angela talks about it in her book, especially in the What I Learned by Lying Down, how isolated she was because she couldn't go out. She lives in Texas also. She couldn't go out in the sun with lupus because it just wears you out, and you're just
Yeah.
wasted forever after being out in the sun. And so she would watch her family go off to little getaways and not be able to participate. And in the story, What I Learned by Lying Down, I think it's early in the book, but I read this many years ago when I first got sick. And what she said was she would go out in the gardens in the evening time, and she would have a cardinal visit her, and that was her sign that she was not alone to her. And it's a cute little story where I felt so alone. And my daughter at the time, she's 21 now, she was like between 5 and 8 years old. I don't remember exactly. She was 2 when I got sick, and so I told her the story about the bird coming to the garden, and she said, "Mom, you have a bird, and we never had doves here." And all of a sudden doves started coming, and they would sit and just sing their little singing, songs right above my fence line. And she said, "Mommy, that's your bird." And then now all of a sudden we have doves everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Doves all over the place now, and we never had them. So, but anyway, so it's so true. To be out in the sun for long periods of time is, devastating to people with autoimmune, as far as I know. I mean, not as far as my personal experience, and yours too, Carol. So trying to manage these and, get rid of them is, devastating to think about. Like Angie not being able to participate with her family. It's awful. And Olinda says she has palpitation and headaches from being out in the heat too long, but she loves the beach.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop her from going. She'll just deal with those palpitations.
While I was listening to Carol, what really struck me is, I think that women are often so much more in tune with their bodies. Carol was talking about the full moon, and a lot of people would hear that and think that's cuckoo,
Yeah.
But, women, are often discounted and disbelieved by healthcare professionals. And yet they're often, like we said, more in tune with their bodies. And they're kind of like the canaries in the coal mine. And I've witnessed that they've been on the front line of many diseases before they even had a name, where nobody believed the women. It was all in your head. And then, we have diagnoses like fibromyalgia, it's not all in your head.
Yeah.
And I do think that women can be much more in tune with something's wrong. And that's,
Thank you for saying that.
Think about how
writing it down on a calendar. And I think I have like 5 months or 6 months worth where, okay. And then I say, Joe, look at the moon and look at how I am today. He goes, write it down again. And so I started writing it on my calendar. The migraine would, like after the moon, the migraine would start. And then it was this, and then it with that. And then the macular would get, and then yeah.
Just
Look what
think
it does
about
to the
Thank you.
tides. You know, the tides, the ocean is, you know, look at what the moon can do to the
Yep.
ocean, and we're made of so much water. You know, there's probably something to that. Yeah.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
just
good.
think
Right.
about how long it takes for a diagnosis in these situations, you know, and so and then to say all of those things with your notebook to a doctor, you know,
Yeah.
is
I think
is
you're crazy.
probably very, very important to do. I would suggest anybody keep documenting like you do, Carol, because you know it's so difficult to
thought I was
diagnose these
crazy.
things. Yeah, no, but you're
Yeah, I
not going crazy.
I was loopy. I was like, wait, could this really be a thing? Or, but Dawn, you know what? You're right. Like how it affects I like Alinda.
Mhm.
I live right. I grew up on the beach and I love it. And now I'm about 15 minutes away, but I
Mhm.
haven't been on a beach but one time this year. But the way it affects the oceans and the bays and you're right.
Yeah.
And our bodies are made up of water and so yeah,
Yeah. So who
that's
knows?
pretty
Yeah.
smart. Yeah, that was good. That was really good. So yeah, and we can't let them dismiss us. You know, we have to
Thank you.
come in
Mhm.
there with God, like you know, we know this has happened. It's not in our heads. And in the calls to the deep, um, is it okay if I mention that a little bit?
Yeah,
Tam?
absolutely.
Um,
Yep.
she had electrotherapy treatments
Yes.
because her depression was so bad from being sick and her illness that
Because
it,
she had bipolar
she had
2, bipolar 2. Mhm.
yeah, and she had
Yep.
12 electrotherapy treatments.
Yep.
And she's I guess like in her late 50s or whatever, but her
Early
grandma had
50s.
that.
Yep. Yep.
And you didn't talk about that back in the day.
Right.
And the thing, and what got it for me with her was 30. She goes, there are times where I haven't been out of the house in 30 days.
Mhm.
Now, I had to stop driving because I have wet macular, so I get injections in my eyes. And I chose to stop driving because I don't want to hurt anybody. But when I related to her when she said she doesn't go out for sometimes 30 days at a time. Um, and then the electrotherapy treatments, she said, I didn't mind getting them, even though it was going to cause memory loss. I didn't want to be in that abyss any longer. I had to get some relief somehow, or something bad was going to happen, and I didn't want to do that to my family. So
Yes.
the chronic pain with the chronic depression was a perfect storm for her.
Yes,
Pretty-
Lacey. I see a functional medicine doctor. I'm not sure
Hi,
if Carol has done any naturopath doctors, but I see a functional medicine doctor, and he's pretty awesome. So some of the
heard that.
let's talk about managing your flare up. Some of the stress managements could be, you know, pretty self-explanatory, like meditation, mindfulness, relaxation, modifying your daily routine when needed. Decluttering, isn't that something? Decluttering could clear the mind, right?
Yes.
Because when you see a bunch of junk everywhere, especially for me, it's like, and then sticking to a routine, talking with your friends, making sure
Right.
you are not isolated, always making time to talk to someone, and adjusting your activities to accommodate your flare. You know, that's another thing that Angela talks about in her book is she forced herself to call people when
Yeah.
she was isolated so that she didn't
Right.
feel so isolated. Your medications could be adjusted if you're having problems. You can do hot and cold therapy. You know, I am really curious about cryotherapy. I don't think I can get in the full machine, but the back and stuff, trying to do something like that. And I don't know if you know if any patients have used that and if it's been successful. Maybe you can speak on that, Dawn.
No, I don't, but I mean, I think that makes sense if heat
Barb likes it. Okay.
yeah, if heat is such a trigger, we know that, you know, and I do think that heat there's something about that just makes a lot of things worse. So that intuitively that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something that I have talked to my friend Debbie. Hi, Debbie. I know you're on here, but you don't have your little face showing. Um, but it's definitely something I want to try. Epsom salt baths, I uh, hated baths, and now I love them because to soak in that Epsom salt bath when everything hurts and just relax is actually quite nice. And so Debbie doesn't want to take your place, so Linda. She's probably going, no in the background.
Hi, Lacey.
I
I don't
know
know
her.
where you are, but I'm
Yeah.
only seeing a couple comments, but I just
Yeah.
saw that you were on. Hello, Love Bug.
Yeah,
Yeah.
eucalyptus and Epsom salt. Yeah, I have a bunch of like the little oils that you drop in, to make it smell good. I don't know if they do any good, but they smell good. But so anybody else has anyone used acupuncture, physical therapy, massage therapy, DO adjustments, anything like that help you out?
Actually, I'm looking into because Joe has peripheral neuropathy, and he was out of work for 6 months to get his bones redone in his feet. And it didn't work. And
Oh, okay.
he's a stagehand. He works in entertainment, and he is our insurance. We just found out Friday. Friday. Yesterday was
Yeah.
Friday. Yeah, that it covers. We're covered. So
Wow.
yeah, definitely.
Good
looking
morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I have tried it all. Massage
You have.
therapy, put me in a bigger pain cycle because it's just too much aggression. And then the lighter massage didn't do anything, so that was kind of like a waste of time. I've done acupuncture and I use a DO on a regular basis, but he got sick, so I haven't seen him in 6 months. So I got to get a new one. So so I've
Have you
used
done reflexology with your feet?
no.
I have
No, but
done.
I hear that's supposed to be good. Now, Dawn, do you have any? I'm just going to keep referring to you. Do
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
any
Dawn.
suggestions on exploring?
I think that I'm very based in science, but I think that methodologies, like Chinese medicine, reflexology, acupuncture have been around for a long time,
Yeah.
for a reason. And I do think there are some studies that show that, alternative therapies can definitely work. I think it's as long as there's not any harm involved, and, I think it's worth trying.
Yeah, yeah.
Certainly. At the
Barb,
very least, I think it can make you feel better, and like what you were saying about massage, I think that even massage can help certain conditions, but you maybe need to find somebody who's really has expertise in that area and listens to
Yeah.
patients.
yeah,
Your
yeah,
feedback that too aggressive is not helpful and too light's not helpful. There may be some other thing in between that could be helpful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Barb, can I bring you in to explain the craniosacral bodywork?
Hi.
Hi, Barb.
Tell
Yeah.
us all about it.
Hi,
Barb.
guys.
Hi, Barb.
So I'm gonna just invite you guys to call me Barbara and not
Hi,
Barb.
Barbara.
Thanks.
Okay.
Barbara. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So craniosacral is more about getting energy flowing, right? So it's not gonna be like a lot of deep tissue. It's not a massage because that can be aggravating. Now I don't have anything chronic going on, but I've done a lot of body work. Craniosacral might be nice. They do a lot of holds up here in the neck, and it gets the cerebral spinal fluid moving. And it's about opening up the energy flow, much like acupuncture, right? Or acupressure. That's about opening the flows of energy. So, yeah.
Well,
so it's like when
Barbara, what was the name of that again, babe?
It's in the
comments.
comments.
Put it in the comments. Craniosacral. Yeah. Yeah, and it's just a different. It's more relaxing, and I believe the body healing. Our body's always seeking balance, right? So the more we can relax, especially as women, the more we can get into a deep relaxed state. The body moves into a more healing space. So a lot of times, if we're getting body work that's really jarring, and we're not sure if it's going to help or not, we're not relaxing. We're not be able to receive it. So something like this, or even Reiki. Energy work, just where it's relaxing. relaxing the nervous system. So it's not like a woo-boo thing. We have a biofield, right? We have an
Yeah.
energetic body. This is science, which I love, right? I love both, and I love how more and more science is showing us. So,
Right.
so I would just maybe explore more energetic things
Yeah.
if the massages are too much.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna sound.
the pain doctor that I went to just recently, because they were supposed to do nerve ablations all the way down my spine, said that I can't do them because it actually is causing me more pain. So, so he said, you know what, Tammy, I would try using some Tai Chi. I was like,
Energy.
what? And so he said it's very easy movements. And so I haven't done it yet, but it's on my thing to add because I have severe osteoporosis, and I have osteoarthritis all down my spine, which is why it's always in pain. I have to walk, and so my rheumatologist wants me walking every single day. She wants me to get to 3 to 4 miles a day. Yesterday, I made it to 3.3.
Wow.
And, I usually can't. Usually, like I used to walk, my husband and I, 4 miles all the time, and it was no big deal. But my spine is so messed up that I stopped midway and just kind of like try to touch my toes. And I say try because everything's so tight. But but I'm determined, to do it because it helps my bones, and I have to start daily injections now of this medicine for my osteoporosis. So it's just chronic pain on top of my lupus, on top of all the other autoimmunes I have and everything. So I'm going to try Tai Chi. So that was recommended, and I'm going to look into craniosacral.
Can I say one more thing that I was
Yes,
just doing?
absolutely.
So also breath, different breath work.
Okay.
Breath is life, and when we as we get older, we have less capacity, most of us, to breathe. So to bring breath in also brings in circulation and movement in the body, in the energy field. And there's so many different types of breath. And if you use visualization as well, you can imagine your whole spine with the breath, and you can just start to see it opening. There's just so many different things that we can do. We're learning so much more about mind, body, stuff, right? So so I know as a breathwork facilitator, breath is very powerful. There's lots of different ways you can use breath.
Well, here's it's kind of like a weird thing, but I just learned this not too long ago, that breath and breathing through your diaphragm, actually, if you can't empty your bladder all the way, you go on, right? And you lift your hands up in the air and you breathe and you empty. I mean,
relax.
I know this is a weird topic to bring up, but I didn't realize how much that had to do with your GI system, because the more air that gets in there, it pushes things and moves things down. And I thought, because when you're going to the bathroom every 5 minutes, the older you get, you just want to empty all together and just like want to have 10 minutes in peace. And it worked.
Lacey,
it does.
Lacey recommends. Yeah. Most people are, shallow breathers. Absolutely, Lacey. I agree with you. Most people are shallow breathers, and we're supposed to deep breathe down into the depths of your esophagus. And so, Lacey says that she's started taking organic cayenne pepper twice a day, and that it creates better blood flow. Yes. That's interesting. So it's like, well, how let me just bring you in. You can say how you do it. How are you taking this cayenne pepper? Is it just in your recipes? What's going on?
Oh my gosh. So I got really sick. I was like, and I'm never sick. Like, I don't know what happened to me. And part of the reason I had lots of toxins in my house, like cleaning supplies, deodorant, toothpaste, all that stuff. I was like, are you kidding me? So I got rid of all of that stuff. And then my husband has, he's always had, acid reflux really bad.
Oh, yeah.
So I found this neuropathic doctor that's been around forever from Australia. I can't remember her name, but she said, take organic cayenne pepper and it twice a day. And it literally creates blood flow. So my husband is like off of acid reducers, which he's been on forever, which creates more and more problems. It's really bad to be on those for a long period of time.
Mhm.
And it also, like if you have numbness in your feet, like diabetics, I've heard, you can put cayenne pepper on the bottom of their feet, and then it like 24 hours after that, the nerves come back.
Wow.
It's been around forever. And I did not know that, and it really does work. He also takes apple cider vinegar. But a
Okay,
lot
yes.
of people say, don't take cayenne pepper if you had acid reflux. It actually does the opposite, because I was like, wow, that's really acidic. It's actually not acidic.
Oh.
That's the one thing I didn't know. Cayenne pepper is not acidic. So it really does work. I don't have any heart problems or anything like that. But I just started taking it just in case, because it's also, I don't know if you guys know, I'm sure you know, a parasite cleanser.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have parasites. Don't look it up. It's freaky.
Yeah.
And cayenne pepper is a parasite cleanser, a natural parasite cleanser. So I'm telling you, I've been on this for a month. I feel 100% better.
So Lacey, are you putting it in like a hot water? Are you?
No, I literally just take as much as I can. So I just put,
Oh my
I don't know,
God.
half a teaspoon. Yeah, half a teaspoon. Put it on your tongue. It shocks the system. You're talking about hot and cold water. It shocks the system. It burns for a little bit, but it literally opens the blood cells and just,
Wow.
it really does.
And I talked to her.
Alinda was asking, does it help with heart issues?
It does. It actually, okay, so my husband has heart issues, and we used to take baby aspirin when you would get anxiety.
Yeah.
All the doctors say take baby aspirin. Don't take baby aspirin. It actually, I've heard, it literally lacerates, puts a cut in it lacerates inside your body. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying cayenne pepper heals lacerations. It really does. And so my husband has.
Yeah, when you talk about
forever-
lacerates, it's the aspirin and
The
like
aspirin.
products like that and ibuprofen. They
Yeah.
can cause ulcers. I think
There
maybe
you
that's
go.
what they're
Yep.
referring
But
to.
no, you can actually bleed internally as well.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the cayenne pepper actually heals your body.
Okay, let's go to
Totally.
Dawn for a minute.
Yeah.
Dawn, from
Okay.
your RN background,
Yeah.
what are you thinking?
Yeah,
Good
you
job,
know,
Lacey.
and the other thing that like cayenne and hot pepper can help with is if you have a cold, kind of, especially if you've got like
Respiratory.
thick mucus, it can kind of help you make your nose run in a good way. The only caveat I would say is now cayenne's really low on the capsaicin scale, like the Scoville unit scale of how hot peppers are. I mean, it's lower than, but you do have to be careful with some other peppers. There was actually a case recently where someone ate really hot chips.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They go bring them to school. Now that's not cayenne. That's totally different. And they died. So
Yeah.
it's not real clear why, but definitely like with really, really hot peppers, you have to be careful because it really can affect your cardiovascular system. But too much of a good thing can be,
Right.
where
Yeah,
people
just
start
like
having
anything.
palpitations and diaphoresis, sweating, and things like that. But so what that goes to show you is, probably in small amounts, can have a helpful effect with certain things. But yeah, I think it's a case by case basis on what your health concerns are.
Kylie, let's go
The old
to you
adage,
let's go to you, Kylie. Oh, what was that, Carol?
Now, when Dawn was speaking about that, when I was probably 20, before I had gotten pregnant with my son, a nurse told me that, you know how the old adage, if you say a bad word, I'm going to put pepper on your tongue. Well, Mom did that.
My mother did that all the time.
But the child asphyxiated. So
Oh,
what you
no.
were saying, yeah. So but you're talking an extreme like hot pepper.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Here,
Yeah,
I'll go
so-
get it. Thanks.
Let me share some. Kylie shared a book on breathing. It looks like. Kylie, did you want to tell us about this book for a minute? Let's see if she'll go in. She's not connected. Well, Kylie, where did you hear about this book? You can type it in the chat. It looks like she has a link to it in the comments. It's an Amazon link it says Breathe New Science Lost. Breath New Science Lost. Oh, Barb's read the book. Oh, good. There's an audio
Barbara,
version of it. It's very interesting.
Oh,
It's really
Yeah.
good. I listened to it. Yeah, it's very good.
Oh, perfect.
Interesting.
All right. So we learned that, cayenne, breathing, exercise, maybe some cryotherapy would help. And we have the fun, what do you call it? Craniosacral body work. I had to put it in my notes on my phone so I remember to go search it out, and other things. So the DO adjustments, my DO was great. I saw one other DO when he was out, and he actually gave me a migraine that lasted for 5 days. So you got to be really, hopefully the person you see is quite talented. So let's move on a little bit to continue our talk and bring the depression into it, and then I can start highlighting some of these things from the books and introduce the author to you a little bit, tell her story. She hopefully can watch this from her bedside. I invited her to talk with us, but her lupus is so bad it is in her chest and she can hardly speak. So I will be her voice today when we get to that part. But let's just bring in depression and how it relates to chronic illness into the talk. Depression and chronic illness is complex and often overlooked aspect of living with long-term health conditions. Chronic illness can have a profound impact on our personal well-being, our emotional well-being. Depression is a common psychological response to challenges and uncertainties that come with ongoing health issues. It can be brought on situationally by your chronic illness. The interplay between the two is a significant challenge. Some contributing factors, of course, are chronic pain, which chronic pain itself can be the driver to anxiety and depression, right? Because living with chronic pain, and let me tell you how many medicines they had me on. I was so drugged up back in the day. It was crazy that 6 years ago, 5.5 years ago, last March, was my 5th year or 6th year anniversary of getting completely off all the medicine. And now I can't even take a pain medicine because of the nerve damage. It makes my pain worse. So I am the suck it up queen, let me tell you.
That's so true. That's so true.
I cannot. And now that my mother-in-law just passed the end of July 31st, and she passed with bleeding ulcers. She became anemic. She had bleeding ulcers that they were not aware of. She took a lot of ibuprofen and aspirin in the nursing home. And they cauterized one spot, and then they found another ulcer bleeding, and they went up through the leg artery there and cauterized that one. But her anemic state was so bad that her heart and her kidney could not recover, and she ended up passing unexpectedly. And so that has scared the dickens out of me. And so I think in the last 5 weeks, I have probably taken 3 ibuprofen. So I'm literally like doing things to deal with my pain without taking the only thing I can take, ibuprofen. And I have a muscle relaxer from the doctor. So I'm a little nervous about that now. And being a suck it up queen with pain is quite difficult and is making me so nauseous that taking my 3 nausea pills a day is just not enough. It's just like, I'm just so nauseated from the pain all the time. There's uncertainty because you don't know when the pain's going to stop, if it ever stops. When I was first sick, 7 years, let me think about this for a minute. So if I went into remission 5 years ago, that makes it 2018. I got sick in 2004. So, gosh, a long time sick with a lot of, and not knowing, I didn't believe when people talked about remission. I was like, there's no freaking thing. There's no such thing for remission with autoimmune. Let me tell you, I'm here to tell you. And then I went into it and it was like, I still had pain, but it wasn't like pain, like I am in. And so the uncertainty of not knowing what your day is going to look like, because it could be stopped in a hot second. Like, I have gone into stores and unable to walk out of stores. And I was with my friend Debbie. We were shopping. I said, I don't think I can make it to the car, and just all of a sudden it just hits me so hard. And I feel like paralyzed, and it's just pure willpower to get me to my car. And on that note, I'll tell you a quick little story. I have been confronted a few times because I have a handicap sticker and I don't look handicapped. And I have been yelled at by people in parking lots, multiple occasions, telling me, how dare I use the handicap? And I just look at them and go, report it. Just report it. You do you, boo. I don't care. It's mine. I know you're not aware that there are sicknesses out there that, you still can look pretty normal on the outside, but you do you. If you need to report it, because it's mine. But there's with depression, you have your functional limitations, which will put you into, a state of depression, just like we talked about physical limitations, chronic illness, your self-esteem, your, everything just kind of, you feel like, I did not do anything today. And when I don't do, ask Linda, she knows me the best. If I don't do something in the day, I'm really bothered by it. It like plays with my head. And so I call myself the suck it up queen, because I feel better even if I put myself in a pain cycle, because at the end of the day I go, this pain was worth it, because I done.
Right.
And some days the looks a whole lot smaller than other days, but I still have to accomplish in a day, or my mind will go to that, place. And I don't want to go there. Like,
I have to make my bed before I leave the room.
See, I don't make the bed because I do a lot of sitting in it.
I have to make it because when I go back in to get dressed, I think that's the one thing I accomplished today. And if that's the one thing that I did, then in my
Debbie is on here and she says the same thing. She gets up and makes a bed immediately. And I'm like, nope, not me, because at the end of the day, I love a lot of stuff on my bed. At the end of the day, I'm my worst, right? I don't want to take all that stuff off it.
I know, and I do that.
I'm too tired and sore.
I gotta go in there and start taking it off.
I'm too tired and sore. I don't want any part of that. So, yep. And then medications can cause some side effects of depression. Matter of fact, they just put me on ketamine, and I took myself off it after 10 days because it made me more lethargic, more blah. And I thought, some of the side effects are depression. And, my brother committed suicide after taking, pills for depression. And my cousin also did multiple times attempts. He's still with us. And I just thought, I don't want any part of that. And so I was on the ketamine, and it didn't make that much of a difference in my pain levels. So I don't feel like if it's not going to erase my pain for periods of time, then why be on it? It's just another drug that is only doing a partial job for me. And it's like making me feel, it's, I already have a heavy feeling that I fight every day. I call it the quicksand, pushing through quicksand. And so I already have that heavy feeling that I push through all the time. And this just exasperated that and is like, no, thank you. Don't want that. So I stopped it. I haven't told the pain doctor yet, but not doing that. So, it can, limit your ability to engage and be in social activities. How many of you have said, I just don't feel good, I can't go? How many times? It's like, it's so many times where you're like, gosh, I just am not sure. What
Barbara,
raises
did I see? I think Barbara's hand was up too.
Yeah, Tammy, why did they prescribe ketamine for you in the first place? Did I miss you say that?
Me?
What was their
My
why
pain.
did they want you on that? For pain?
Yeah, my pain
It's
level
a
is so
dissociative,
bad.
right?
Pardon?
Yeah. It's a dissociative,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, and so that's what. So see, they wanted to ablate all my nerves, and I was promised, if I did that, I would get like probably a good year or more of pain relief from taking the nerve damage away. And so he said putting me on the ketamine would reprogram the brain so that maybe the pain signals would be disrupted. But
yeah.
and it should
Okay.
react like right away. And the only thing right away that I got was more sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
so,
and the thing is I think medicine. If I'm in a car accident today, I want to go to the best ER there is.
yeah.
But I do think that, and here I am. I've been a nurse for 28 years.
Oh wow.
There's a lot of treatments that we find out later that were not helpful or even harmful. I mean, just recently, talking about depression, they've, I think, pretty much figured out that the whole serotonin depletion theory of depression is wrong. So we were giving people antidepressants for a supposed deficiency of neurotransmitters, and that's not what causes depression. They, like, a lot of depression, yes, definitely can be organic, but a lot of when it's schizophrenia or it's an organic mental illness, where you can see there's differences in the way a brain functions, and you can actually measure those differences, or there's a genetic component, or I think it's much easier to try to find out treatments. But when things like personality disorders and even to some degree depression, it's very difficult because it's a very complex range of things that can cause depression. So the answer isn't always in a pill, and we've gone away from like talk therapy and other things to just getting prescriptions for things all the time when we don't know if it's helpful or if maybe it's even harmful.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
sometimes just because you're going through a bad time, I would fight with these doctors. A pill isn't going to fix my situation. It's if it's situational. How is this pill going to fix my situation? Well, it's going to help you look at things in a different way. Well, if it's still going to stay the same in the situation, how it's just not. I fought and fought and fought so many times with them, and I never did. I mean, I did for a little bit, and then I just said I can't. I have to deal with this. I'm going to have to deal with this eventually. So I have to deal with this in a healthy way, for me, because I don't want to be on another medicine. I've had 22 surgeries, so I and a majority of them were from 2006 till 2017. And I was bit by 3 poisonous spiders. So I don't know if that's how I got my RA. I mean, we found in my lymph node too. We found
Wow.
the spider, and it was that big. it was so scary. But nobody believed me. I went to 2 hospitals, 3 doctors within 2 weeks, and they thought I was an intravenous drug user. I was, battered. Like, they didn't believe me. It was my neighbor down the street having a garage sale with me with the sling in my arm, above my heart, and said, "What happened to you, Carol?" I go, "I have no idea. I just left the ER at 3 a.m. He goes, "You were bit by a spider. Go home and check. Look for fang marks." So my mom and dad and my husband, we came back. My mom went in my room. Boom. There were two big old fang marks. And, but, and look, the brain fog that comes along with all this, I just totally lost my train of thought through this. I'm so sorry, but yeah, just they don't believe you sometimes, and you just
Yeah, they definitely don't believe you. You have to find the right doctors, and sometimes that means interviewing doctor after doctor after doctor before you get a good one. It's you know, chronic illness and depression. It's really hard. It's really hard on the patient, and I think it's really hard on the medical field to get it right. You know, it takes a while, and so you know, seek professional help and make sure you are a good fit with that provider. And a lot of times, just to kind of like promote Dawn's work, is a lot of times the nurses are the ones who make you go back. You know, sometimes the doctors don't have that great bedside, but those nurses sure make you feel comfortable, and that, you know, you want to go back because of that. And so you got to make sure it's a right fit
That's
for
so
you.
true.
And it's not dissing on any one person. It's, you know, it's like it's human nature. It's who you feel comfortable with and who is making you feel comfortable and heard. Being
Right.
heard is probably the most important thing you can do for yourself, is to make sure you're heard, because if you're not, you're just never going to get the help. I had this one doctor who kept saying, I'm going to make you feel better. I'm just going to make you feel better. He never made me feel better. I mean, it was a 20-minute talk, and then I went back home on my hour and a half drive back home, and I was like, what was that for? You know?
Yeah.
And I can tell you, having dealt with, I mean, there's some wonderful doctors and clinicians out there, don't get me wrong, but
Sure.
just even having dealt with doctors for many years as a registered nurse, there can be a lot of arrogance and a lot of not listening and dismissing, and unfortunately, you know, even in the relationships between doctors who, and it's changing, but were at one time mostly male, and nurses who were still mostly female, there's that kind of men are smarter,
Yeah.
you know better for you, that kind of paternalistic,
Right.
which can be a good thing when somebody really is watching out for you, but can also be damaging if you feel like you're not being listened to. So
Yeah.
that kind of relationship that nurses as professionals experience, I think women as patients can often experience. And I've told people throughout my career, your doctor is your employee. They are just like your plumber. If they are not doing a good job, if you don't feel like they're listening, I would give them an opportunity, give them some feedback. Say, you know, I don't really feel like maybe I'm being heard. You know,
Yeah.
can we start over? Can you set some time aside? I'd like to talk about whatever. If you
Right.
still don't feel like you're heard, fire them and look for somebody else.
Right.
This whole, I graduated nursing school in '94, and even then, there was still this kind of doctors or gods, you know. And I remember discussions about, you know, physical abuse, and I was like, I'm not going to tolerate that. I will not have doctors throwing things at me and yelling at me, and
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
you know, so there is. I think it's slowly fading, but like our parents' generation, you did not question doctors. They
Right.
were,
Yep.
you know,
Oh yeah.
and what's,
The Holy
yeah,
Grail.
exactly. And I remember reading about a study that was done where they did autopsies on almost all patients who were seen and just died in an ICU over a time period, and the rate of misdiagnosis was just unacceptable. So you
Yeah.
know yourself better than, you know your body, and yes, they're a medical professional, and yes, you want their educated opinion, but you do need to make sure that you're with somebody who makes you feel heard. I think
Yes.
that's very good advice.
Debbie wrote that she had a traumatic event happen in her life where every single doctor that she saw back then and now have all tried to push antidepressants on her. Not one of them ever suggested therapy. That's
Mm.
heartbreaking,
Mm.
because therapy, right? Okay, I'm going to speak on this, but know that I'm not a very good person to go to therapy. So therapy is, you know, known to really dive in deep and help you emotionally, mind over body, and all this good stuff, and gives you pointers on getting through all that. That being said, I have a really, really hard time going to therapy. For me personally, and Olinda knows this too, is every time I went to therapy, I felt like I could come home and just fix it all
Yeah.
and be done and not have to go back.
Right.
And I literally one of my therapists, because I've gone to a few, one of my therapists gave me this is what we're going to do list while you're in therapy with me. And I took that to do and I got home and I was like, confront people. Did that. Just like I just did the checklist and I was like, I don't need to go back. I did it all. Done. And then I went to one therapist who I love and would love to talk to again, because now I mentally think I could handle him. But New York is my favorite place in the world, New York City, right? And now upstate New York is my favorite place because that's where O is. But he was a New Yorker. And he literally looked at me one day and he said, like a true New Yorker, he said, and I'm not dissing you New Yorkers, I love you. He said, Tammy, you're a grown ass woman. Why are you still looking for the approval of blah, blah, blah? Stop. And I was like,
nice.
Well, I can't take you right now. And I stopped seeing it because he was so aggressive. But now it's like, I think I could take him. I could take him and listen. But back then it was too much and I couldn't do it. But now, they say as you get older, you get less, you have a bullshit meter. Like you're done. I'm not putting up with that, right? So I'm there. I'm like, I'm not putting up with that. I like speak my mind and I always have done that, but I do it more. So anyway, seeking professional help is a good coping mechanism. Lifestyle modifications we touched on before, exercise, diet, stress reduction, so forth. Differentiating yourself, whether it's situational or clinical, because they're treated differently, right? Adopting a holistic approach that addresses both the physical and emotional aspect of chronic illness. And Barb is building she has a business and she's building upon this business. And I think you do a lot of that type of stuff, holistic approach type with women, right? Speak on that just a little bit. Healing.
Okay, you caught me off guard there. So I've been kind of in the mental health.
Sorry.
And it's okay, thank you. I've been in the mental health space and the healing space and spiritual kind of retreat space, coaching for a long time. Like well over 25 years now. And I've worked with a lot of people, so I've seen a lot of patterns and worked with a lot of people who have chronic illness and pain. It's just, we are just more than what we have realized. So I work with a lot of trauma, childhood trauma, relationship trauma. I work with a lot of women, teaching them how to really listen to their body even more deeply. Like like we're in touch with our body, but we can go deeper. Right. We can get more connected, go deeper into the body. But when we're in pain, it's like we want to be out of the body. It seems like, it's like, get me away from here.
Fight or flight.
So actually it's interesting. My program that I'm creating is called Bliss Body Wisdom. And it's all about just whatever we need to help us to be more connected, right? To be more connected. Whether we're managing pain or whatever challenges, because life is full of it all the time. We never know what's around the next corner, right? So I see so many women, like we were saying earlier, who do it all, do everything, and we're just go, which in a lot of ways is antithetical to the feminine energy. So again, back to learning how to breathe, deep relaxation gets us more connected to intuition. And when you were talking earlier, I don't see your name up there, but about the moon, right? Like we used to go, there's, I don't know have you guys heard of the We Moon calendar? It's been around for years and it's a calendar based on the 13 moon cycle. And as women back in the day, we were more connected to the cycles of the moon and our menstrual cycles. And even through after menopause now, it's like, we still are connected in that way.
What's that called, Barbara? The We Moon?
We Moon calendar. It's just kind of a women's calendar, but they talk about the different cycles of the moon. And we've gotten so disconnected from that. We've gotten disconnected from a lot. There's a good movie called Heal. I don't know, maybe y'all have seen it. And it's a really nice movie that brings together the wonderfulness of Western medicine as well as alternative therapies, the importance of dealing. And then also with therapy, talk therapy is good, right? But we're also learning more about somatics, which is in the body. So I work a lot with that. So I'm do a spiritual approach, but I'm working in the body, helping to heal the body.
I love
emotionally and all that. So food, all the things, sexuality. It's just it's a holistic, approach to just
the whole mind
feeling
body
better.
connection.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be in one of those sessions one of these days.
Me too.
I'm gonna go to Arizona. And okay, so
Oh, do we have to
finding
go to Arizona?
that's where Barbara is.
Well, I'm doing online. Yeah, I'm in Sedona, but
okay.
I'm doing online.
Oh, you do it online, Barbara?
The program from our thing, Tammy, is going to be online. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Our
Okay.
program
Yeah,
online.
from
Yeah.
ours.
But yeah, I do it here too.
Yeah.
So Barbara,
So-
do you, sorry, I've heard and listened about grounding. So like grounding sheets and stuff. Do you do that too? Have you heard of-
Well, I live in Sedona, so like I can ground just by walking out in the backyard. So
yeah, no,
right?
me too. I'm in Montana. So no, but
Beautiful.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, now they have like grounding sheets. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have. They have sheets, they have grounding mats.
I'm
Like
telling you.
if you're working on a computer a lot, you can get like a grounding mat to put under your feet
Yep.
while you're working on the computer to keep you connected. So I haven't used them,
Yeah,
but
start doing it. Get outside,
Yeah.
walk with your bare feet.
My
yeah,
husband-
get outside barefoot. Yeah.
My husband and I, because one of the things that my functional doctor said is to do earthing. And so we have gone out. One day we went out barefoot in the yard. It was snowy ice, and we don't get a lot of that here in the valley where I live in Oregon. But we were out there, and we
Okay.
said, let's run all the way through the yard and back. And we probably got, I like to be generous and maybe say 20 feet.
That's awesome though.
I was like, no.
Good.
But I've done a little reel where we were out there earthing, and so we got to do it more. But I hate my feet being dirty. It
I don't like
bothers
that
me.
at all.
But I got to get that. I got to let
Get
go
your
of
training
that.
on. Just run out in the dirt.
Yeah, that's
Oh, I
right. I
love
got to do it.
So good.
But the other coping mechanisms, and Angie speaks highly on this one in her books, is through faith and the power of prayer. Depression and chronic illness, it's a journey. It requires a lot of patience and grace within yourself. Resilience and a strength that you just don't even know you have. You just got to dive in there deep and pull it up, and then support system. And this is why I created Girlfriend Chat. My whole life, I have gone through some traumas, and my whole life I always thought if I could just speak to other women, maybe they wouldn't make the same mistakes. And then I was like, nobody wants to listen to me. And then I went to this seminar in March, and I was moved. It was called Insight, and I was moved by the speaker, Todd Campbell. And he just really, within 30 minutes of the whole thing starting, I was crying. And I am not a baby. Like, I was crying, and I was like so moved. By the second night, I looked at my husband and said, I don't think I can do another day. I'm so drained. It's like so emotional, the journey we went on. And he said, suck it up, Buttercup. And so the next day we went, and he said, today I'm going to let you guys talk. I was moved. He kept saying to me, you have to participate more. You have to. And I was like, you're not participating. Why do I participate? Why do I? He goes, because it's for you. And so I finally, when he said, this is going to be a time to talk, whoever wants to talk, I like hopped up, but a girl beat me to the front. And so then I had to stand there getting nervous.
Yeah.
But I spoke, and I spoke from the heart. And I don't know where it all came from, but it all came out. And it was the motivation to start the Girlfriend Talk. Is like, it literally sent the message like, what on earth are you waiting for? Get your butt in gear. People like to hear you. I could not tell you how great it felt to be heard by peers who, total strangers. And at the end of the whole thing, there was this line of people just waiting to talk to me and tell me how much they were moved. And I thought, this is my sign to
Yeah.
do it, because this is a platform where we can support each other and we can talk about real issues and fun, fun and serious and all together, and just bond and grow. And it's just my dream. So thank you for all being part of my dream, because this is like
Thank you.
amazing.
And
So-
listen, Dawn and Barbara were great. I mean, and
Yes,
all that,
it's such
Linda. Oh my gosh.
share is so important. So I want to go on. So if anybody wants my outline on the chat so that you can read it or whatever, because I
Good one. It's
go
a real-
over it, I can send it to you. Just let me know. Some of the I just want to touch on some of the symptoms for depression, and if I miss anything, please, Dawn, tell me when I read this. And so some of the depression signs, and we want to all be very aware, for not just ourselves but for our loved ones, to know persistent sadness or low mood, totally different than who they typically are, and loss of interest or pleasure in activities, participating, anything like that, changes in your appetite, and you can see, major changes in their weight, up or down, difficulty sleeping or oversleeping, fatigue and low energy, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, difficult concentrating or making decisions, and thoughts of death or suicide. Do you have anything to add to that, Dawn?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are some of the major ones. But I think, it's kind of any change from sort of your baseline that's persistent. If it's just situational, and that's understandable if you're grieving a loss. But anything that lasts, they say usually 6 months or more. And I actually suffered with depression at one point in my life, after getting out of an abusive marriage for many years. And what was very odd to me is, my main symptom, and it was very, very unsettling, was I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel anything. I just felt kind of like nothing. And that was a very alarming symptom. It wasn't something that I'd really heard described before. And so that was something that I experienced myself. But also you can see things like, anger, agitation, irritability,
Mhm.
loss of concentration, lack of concentration, mood swings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I went into a depression that I had no idea, what it felt like. I'm pretty headstrong. And when I was struck with these weird seizures, I say loosely because they had no name for them, but I would go into a rigid state. And the pain would just be so immense, and I couldn't move, and I would have to get a shot. And it lasted 2.5 years. During that time, it was just another thing thrown on me, and I didn't think I could cope. And I literally had thoughts of not being here any longer. And I never said them out loud, but I remember this one particular day, all of my children were going to the lake, and I was supposed to be going. And I just kept saying, just leave without me, because I was battling internally in my brain, whether I was going to leave this earth or not. And it was so tough because I'm so strong mentally. And I just was like circling this idea and circling. And they were like, come on, Mom, come on, Mom, come on. And I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't even get my head off the pillow. And my son, Trevor, he's so in tune. He wrote me a letter. I just recently found it. And I told them to leave. And 20 minutes after they left, finally, I read this letter. And it is one of the most beautiful gifts I've ever been given in my life. And I'm here today because of it. So 20 minutes, I said, I called them and I said, "Is it too late to go?" And they said, "Nope." And they turned around and they came and picked me up. And I said, "I swear to God, I will never do that again. I don't care how bad it gets. I will never, ever send a message somehow the way, however Trevor read it, he knew." And it was like, "Come get me." And off we went. And it,
Mhm.
it was a terrible feeling. It was a battle like
Terrible.
I couldn't even have fathomed if I didn't experience it myself. And so, it just breaks my heart to hear anybody struggling that way, because it's an island on your own. It's just a fight that you're just trying so hard to come up, up for air. But let's move into, I know we're going a little long, but just going to move into the Angie, because I want to honor her. Because she couldn't be with us today. So I'm going to just introduce her and be her voice for a little bit. And then we'll talk about your own businesses at the end if you'd like. And then we'll go on about our day. So Angela Doogie Baker is a friend of mine whom I've never personally been in her presence. We have been friends for many years through the internet. God bless the internet. She was one of the first people to reach out to me when I was diagnosed with lupus. And I just happened, I don't even remember how I came, but I came across her book. Somehow, I think one of her friends commented about it in her stream many years ago. And I was like, "Angie, do you have a book?" And she goes, "Yes, I do." And she's a sweet thing. And so I bought it and I marked it up like nobody's business. There's notes and highlights, and it moved me and supported me in ways I needed way back when. And so this was her first book, What I Learned Lying Down. So let me just tell you a little bit about Angie. She resides in Texas with her husband and her 3 children. They are all grown adults now. Before being struck down after the birth of her second child with chronic fatigue and an eventual diagnosis of lupus, Angie worked in the dental field. After over a decade of increasing illnesses and what she calls the medical maze, she was moved to write and share her story. She, like me, didn't think anybody wanted to hear, and found out that people do want to hear, not only want to, but need to. And so Angie's books are all written around the Word of God. She quotes the Bible verses throughout her storytelling. She's an incredible pillar of strength. What she has gone through, I mean, these books are very easy read. You can hold this and be done with it in a day, because it just is like powerful and moving. What she does is unbelievable. She's not afraid to be raw and real while she explains her story. She's been sick since she was in her 20s. Her first book, What I Learned by Lying Down, is a vibrant story where she opens her personal journals and her heart to validate and encourage those who suffer. She journals every single day because of her memory.
That's
so
right. Yep.
if she doesn't journal, she will not remember what has happened. And so it's very important part of her day. She uses her own insight and her faith in God to uplift the suffering ones and the family and friends as she relates how to cope and strive spiritually in the face of adversity. She, in some of her stories, has talked about being in the waiting room to get the electric shock to the brain, and watching the devastation on other patients. And she will literally like pray with them. She will give them a little handout of prayers. And she has, with her smile and her gift, has moved people who were terrified. And she's quite an inspiration. Chapter 7 in her first book, What I Learned Lying Down, discusses coping. And so if you get the book, it's a great chapter to go to learn how she has coped. I made a note of it in here. But she also, in that same chapter, asks a question: how does one endure a life-threatening disease that constantly changes? Now, isn't that a thought-provoking question, right? How do we do that? Because every day can be different from the last. We never know what to expect. what is going to be attacked next.
Yep.
And it's crazy. And so I lost a friend over being sick, and her last words to me literally were, I don't know what to say to you anymore, so I'm not going to say anything. And that was the end of our friendship. And she was a great friend. I will not speak poorly of her. She was there for me all the time, but it just, I believe, became too much for her to endure me saying my truths, which I thought I could. And it after many, many years of it, she couldn't take it anymore. And, you know, I don't blame her for that. It's painful to think about. And it makes me question whether I should say things, because this happened many, many years ago, and probably about 7, 8 years ago. And so I've always been afraid, even with my closest friends, not Olinda, but I tell her everything. But it makes me afraid.
Always talks
Olinda's the punching bag.
Yeah. She's my
Bless
bestie,
herself.
but I'm not afraid to tell her anything. You know, we are like, we only had one argument in 45 years, so I'm not afraid of her. I think I won that argument.
But, you know, Tammy, too, the thing that I've seen, you know, as a nurse, when chronically ill patients finally get sort of consistent empathy, is like, because I worked hospice too, is when they're dying. I think that often patients who are acutely ill or injured, you know, are the ones who get the most empathy, sympathy.
True.
And I see parallels. I know, you know, I was in a relationship that was, you know, domestic violence for many years, mostly, you know, psychological and stuff. And I didn't leave that relationship because I was told my daughter would be taken away from me, and I was financially dependent in a lot of things. And I remember feeling like people got tired of hearing me talk about it, and I needed to talk about it. You know, I needed that support. But it is disappointing when, and I understood too, where people just kind of think, we'll just get over it. You know, they
Yep.
just, yeah.
Well, you
Yep,
notice
they
that
don't get it.
circle gets smaller.
I literally had a neighbor gentleman who is big in our community. I shouldn't say too much. Asked me how I was doing at a sporting event, and I said terrible. And he literally put his hand in my face and said, "No, you're doing great." And I was like, I
Yeah.
wanted to slap the hand down and, you know, go,
Toxic positivity.
yeah.
That's what
It's
that
like,
is. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, no,
Yeah.
that's not my truth, but okay, yeah, I'm doing wonderful. Have a great day.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
and so, you know, it's just like, don't do that. You know, that's a no. That's like not helping anybody.
And when you say, hi, how are you? We say that all the time as a greeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I've thought about that many times. The expectation is you're going to say, great, how are
Right.
you?
That's what I do all the time.
And like last week, I was sick at work and I said, I'm not so great.
Right.
I'm almost 60 and I'm going to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I have
Yep.
104.6 degree fever and I'm at work and I'm sicker than any of the kids I'm taking care of. And nobody's thought to say, maybe you need to go home.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, even though they knew I was sick, but no, I'm not
No.
great.
No,
So
they
has
need you.
anybody
They
noticed
they
that-
need you, and that's all they're worried about. Dawn put in the comments a great book called "The Sound of a Wild Snail Eating." Purchase.
Oh, I just copied and pasted it.
Oh.
But yeah, it's Elizabeth Tova Bailey tells the inspiring and intimate story of her year-long encounter with a snail. While an illness keeps her bedridden, she watches the snail take up residence on her nightstand. But it's
No kidding. I
yeah.
can't see any of the comments that you guys can see.
Oh,
so-
do you have the comment button on the side, hun?
It's a private chat. I did the private chat one.
Yeah, it's in the private chat one.
all
yeah.
right, I'll just
Yeah, it's in the
I'll just
private chat one.
for you guys.
So Angie's coping mechanisms in her book, she writes about praise, music, which I was just getting messages from my daughters. They seem to like prayer, spiritual music, whatever you call it. I can't think. Meditation, thinking to heaven, God's word. she said encouragement recommended by this book, a doctor book, Streams in the Desert by L.B. Coleman. It's encouraging others who are in desperate situations can help to take our eyes off our own physical state. So she talks about distracting your pain by helping someone else. And, you know, distraction to me is major key. Like I distract myself every single day. Like I'm not going to pay attention to what you guys want inside here. I need to do this, and then I'll deal with you later when I can put my legs up. And so I do that all the time. I distract myself. And, you know, I will say throughout the day, my poor husband has to listen to me say, oh, this hurts. Oh my God, that hurts. You know, but you know, that's what he's there for.
Have you guys noticed? Well, I noticed that, like, so I bartended all my life, right? And great places, fun places. You know, had my own business at one point doing weddings and real estate openings. My circle in the past 3 years or 4 years has gotten so small, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's
like
very
Dawn
small
was-
because it's very difficult, and you know, you have to be a very strong person yourself to enable and support other people. It's not
Yeah.
easy, right, Dawn? It's very hard, and it's compassion. You have to have a heart filled with that desire. And a lot of people just don't know what to say. It's the same
Right.
thing when you lose
Right.
someone, they don't know what to say. They say, I'm sorry, I'll pray for you. You know,
Well, the thing of it was, I wasn't speaking about it to anyone.
Yeah.
But I would absorb all of their stuff, but
Yeah.
without speaking about my stuff.
Yeah.
But I was always saying, no, I can't make it. No, thanks
Yeah.
for asking. But I was constantly saying no, where I used to be, oh, we're going to call Carol. We're going to the Jimmy Buffett concert at the
Yeah.
drop of a hat, right? And I would, all my life, that's all I did. And then all of a sudden I wasn't. And I
Yeah.
wasn't given an explanation why.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
We
a
don't-
mix, I feel. There's a
I was
mix
saying that-
between it being on, you know, me
yeah.
being the cause and them being the cause. Like there's a mix because, you know, it's weird. Now what I finally say is I'm so sorry. I really
Yeah.
can't go, but please don't stop asking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Does
right.
someone have
You do
some
after
kind
a
of
while.
noise in the background?
Yeah, there is a weird noise in the background somewhere, but
Yeah.
but it does. It's really
Right,
it's
you're so
hard
right,
because
Linda.
after a while, they, you know, I would do the same thing. If somebody kept saying no, 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 I'd be like, well, maybe it's me, you know, especially if they're not talking about what's going on. Because I'm not one. I talk to my close group. I
Right,
whine
right.
a little outside and then I laugh it off and I go, but I
Mhm.
don't talk deep, you know.
Yeah.
Happy Lacey
Yep.
are my two girls.
Mhm.
Like Lacey checks on me every single day,
Yeah.
and Tammy is my I didn't even know what lupus was, and Tammy said, I think you should go get checked.
Mhm.
But it turned out that I didn't know lupus and gout mimic
Oh,
RA.
wow.
Oh yeah.
Dawn, did you know that? Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Well, you
And-
know, the other thing I see is not if anybody drinks, that's bad, you know, but
yeah.
I've noticed, you know, as I've stopped drinking, as I've gotten older, just because it doesn't make me feel good. Not that I ever drank a lot, but you know, a
Right.
lot of things are situated around bars, a lot of social scenes, and that
Right.
bores me now, kind of.
Right.
I notice as I've gotten older, and I don't really want. My social circle has become really small, you know, too.
Yeah.
But and a lot of people who have chronic illness can't drink and partake of those things
Right.
because it makes them feel bad, you know.
And the medications that they're on.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think so many things are geared around alcohol. And if you're
Yeah.
not,
Right. That's
I
right.
on that, it's funny. I was in Missouri at my daughter's, and we got in a car wreck, and they the nurse came in. This was a bad nurse, a bad
there
nurse.
are bad nurses.
She came in.
Oh
She
my
came
God.
in and she said,
Everyone.
do you drink alcohol? And I said, yeah, I have a glass of wine with dinner every night. It's supposed, you know, I have a lot of ice
Yeah,
and some
yeah.
wine. And she goes, every night? And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
I literally said to her, "Don't judge." Yes, every night. It's like I don't take
Good for
pain
you.
medicine, and damn it, I'm having a glass of wine with my meal at dinner time to
Good for you.
relax this dang body. End of story.
Good
So
for
when
Well,
you.
years ago in Italy, instead of drinking milk, they would drink wine.
Yeah,
My
and I think
grandma
wine like you know what I mean. Wine's
Yeah.
right.
yeah,
basically
not drinking,
non-alcoholic.
drinking.
In the
Yeah.
little
So,
glasses they used to.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I have a glass of wine every night. It's a given. It's like I'm not I don't care what it's doing to me. It's not changing. End of
No.
story.
All right,
Because I
that's
need
okay.
something to take the edge off, and I don't care what they say medically. I'm
Yes.
still doing it. But
There's a whole
I'll give
going
up the
out
ibuprofen,
scene.
but I ain't giving up the wine.
Yep.
I see what you're saying, though, Dawn. It's the whole going out scene. It's just
Yeah.
not,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking more like the shots and the
yeah,
that
yeah.
whole thing that honestly isn't as fun if you're not drinking. You look and you're like, this is really
Yeah.
lame.
I think the last time I did a shot was with Linda in our 20s, and we had what was that little it tastes like caramel.
Oh, amaretto?
I don't
Licello?
remember.
No, that's almond. No.
Licello? Oh, my
Schnapps.
Frangelico?
Caramel, like butterscotch schnapps.
Butterscotch.
Oh yeah,
God.
butterscotch.
Remember we
schnapps
were
is
at a
good.
bar, we were in our
Butter-
20s, and some guy came over and said, "You guys need some butterscotch schnapps, whatever." And I was like, "Oh my."
So
Nowadays,
Sammy
you'd
goes,
have-
okay.
Yeah, and nowadays you'd have roofies in it. You guys are
Yeah,
lucky.
right?
Yeah,
I
right.
Yeah.
know, really. Back in
So-
the day, we never thought of those things. We were just like,
Yeah, no.
sure.
yeah, so that was the last time I took a shot, I think. So anyway, so support is so huge. We
Awesome.
touched on this many times. Encouragement from others and to others lightens the burden of the afflicted, right? Anytime we feel supported, so huge. So Angie talks about that in her first book. She said, she even points out in there, if you read it, she pointed out, Debbie loves her Diet Coke. We go for rides every day. She gave up coffee and brought on Diet Coke. So we used to be the Starbucks queens, and now we're the go through McDonald's and get her a Diet Coke and drive around the town for an hour to give ourselves a break. That's what we do. We chat. I might get a coffee because I still like my coffee. She gets a Coke, and we drive around like little old ladies around town. While
What
we're
do you mean,
chatting.
like little old ladies? We are little old ladies.
We
now.
are shut up, Bo. So I don't think Lacey is yet.
No, Lacey, you look really well. Barbara, too. Yeah.
I
Well, maybe I'm just talking about you.
No,
and I.
Lacey's just a young pup.
She's a youngie.
Lacey's a young
And she
pup.
looks like my daughter's age, and I have 4
Yeah.
of those.
I have-
So, but anyway,
Oh my
so
gosh, you have
life-giving
4?
words.
4.
She was like, people assume the sick need to be served in a physical way, when in fact, just sitting with them is the most precious gift. And she talks
Yeah.
about journaling, prayer. She even says, this is so cool, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but I cry on my own. I don't even like to have my husband see me cry. And so I went in the closet the other day. I cried. I wiped my tears. A minute later, I walked out of the closet. And it was just like, I cannot deal with the pain sometimes. And I just like, okay, done. And so, she has emotional breakdowns. She calls them. She says the tears actually act as an emotional release and a way to deal with pain. And Barbara probably would agree to that. And so her crying, I can envision it. I haven't seen it personally, but she described it in her book. She has a nice enough closet where you can put a big ottoman right in the middle. How jealous are we, girls? And so, Angie, we are so jealous if you are listening. For you have a beautiful ottoman. She has 2 pillows, and she kneels. And she says sometimes she feels the presence of God kneeling next to her, and sometimes she does not. But she kneels in front of that ottoman, and she cries, and she prays, and she pleads, and she begs, and she's gracious, and she's thankful, all of the above. Whatever she's feeling in that need, that's how she copes. And then she talks about counseling, laughter, if I didn't have Olinda, my life would suck. Let me just put it that way. She is my rock. She is my soul mate. And so she's not allowed to go before me because I will just die. But and then living in the present.
Each other.
I love this girl like nobody's business. But living in the present is like the most important thing. And like we don't want to go, but remember when I wish I could be the woe is me, right? It's always like stay present in your pain, in your gratefulness, in everything. And she talks about that all of the time. And she also says, you know, be creative. She finds pleasures in the smallest details. And my friend Debbie does too. She finds pleasure. Debbie looks for hearts everywhere, and she sees them everywhere. And she says those are God wings. And so she's like, oh my gosh, look at that food truck right there has a heart on it, the pizza. And she goes, that's a God wink, you know. So she sees that all the time. Other people like see butterflies as my sister-in-law, and she might be listening as well. Hi, Pamela, if you are. She butterflies, and that represents, you know, her daughter who has passed, and so she thinks, you know, she finds her presence in the butterflies. Oh, Linda, what do you love?
I was on mute and I forgot sunflowers.
Sunflowers. And so Olinda lost her sister, and sunflowers are great. Reminder of the love that she has for her sister. And so simple little things. She was talking about, you know, biting into a delicious peach can remind you to be thankful. You know, look at how yummy this is, you know. And so Angela does an amazing thing when in her book about describing the simple things and, you know, God's blessings and finding joy in the smallest amount of your day, because she spent so much time in isolation. She sought this out, right? And so she recommends reading Philippians every day for 30 days to get a thankful heart. So that's one of her big recommendations. On page 180, she says, if you suffer with illness that is chronic, some people find it hard to stand by and give support without eventually starting to question your emotions, your attitude, and your faith. Sometimes friends and families will just walk away, leaving you, the afflicted, feeling unimportant, alone, and devastating. Has anyone ever had, beside my story, had any of that happen to you in your journey?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. So it's sad but true, right? So in our journey, people want to, they want to give you these helpful hints, like, you know what, maybe you should do a colon flush all the time and you would feel so much better. It would cure you. You know, I told that to my doctor. He said, Tammy, if you do that, you'll end up in the hospital almost dead. You know, you cannot be flushing out your colon all the time. This is ridiculous. You have gastroparesis. You're not getting enough calories in a day. You know, your chronic autoimmune diseases, period. You just don't want to do that to yourself. And so they thought they were being helpful. You know, people think that the quirkiest little things, and then you're cured of your chronic illness. And I just smile and go, thank you for that. You know, thank you for that. I don't think that's going to work. But it's you know, I've had people say, I can't believe you don't feel better yet. And I just go, I can't either. I just can't either. I can't believe I haven't gotten over this yet either.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's so crazy. You know, it just goes back to nobody knows what to say. And so, you know, a kind smile and I'm glad to see you out. I love those comments because that warms my heart. You know, those are the kind of things. It's like, I'm so glad to see you out, you know.
That's a perfect thing.
It just is like, thank you. Because they have that mental understanding, like it was tough to get here. You know, that's what that says to me. And it acknowledges me, and it doesn't deplenish what I'm going through, you know? And so,
you know, I'm going to say that to people that I know who are not well. It's so good to see you out. I like that.
Yeah. It just has always put a smile on my face. The next book is called God Smiles. And so it's a collection of heartwarming short stories. and devotions which seek to find God in the principles of the Christian faith in everyday life. She writes, some of you who are chronically ill probably feel that you are worthless at times, and she just wishes that you did not feel that way. She prays over herself in the book and others. She is an incredible pillar of faith. If, I don't want to push religion on people who, aren't, receptive to it, but I am going to talk about because she was supposed to be the honorary guest today. So I am going to talk about it. And if this is not your cup of tea, just appreciate what work went into this and take it with a grain of salt. That way I would hope. So she has some prayers that are very, very powerful on page 68 and 99 of this book. If you wanted to, read the prayer. Angie's thoughts. Begin your day with gratitude and end your day counting your blessings. That's tough to do sometimes, right? But begin your day with gratitude. She says she wakes up and says, thank you for another day. And then end your day counting your blessings. Thank you for allowing me to whatever she accomplished for that day. And she gives thanks in all circumstances, even in her pain. What I say, her story is so immensely, a pain that she has gone through is like, unbelievable. I really highly recommend these books because it will give you insight into the chronic illness world, even if you don't suffer. It is unbelievable what this woman has gone through and the faith that she remains strong in. She says, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Jesus Christ. And quotes, Thessalonians. I always get tied up with that. And then our troubles, mountain fears increase as we look at the tidal wave before us, while Jesus whispers, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Isaiah. I like the first where she says, our troubles mount and fears increase as we look at the tidal wave before us. How descriptive is that for chronic illness? It's like whether you're fighting depression or pain,
That's
look
big.
ahead and think that tidal wave is coming at me, and when is it going to hit me and knock me down so bad I won't be able to get up? It's like, don't do that, is basically what she's saying. She looks to God instead. I'm not going to look at this tidal wave coming at me. I'm going to look up here, and it's powerful. Her words are so powerful. She says, when I take my eyes off Jesus and focus on the pain, the loss, the loneliness, and the envy, I fall into the trap of self-pity and sin. And again, something powerful to think on. It's like, yes. When you focus inward on yourself, you stay there, and it's hard to pull yourself out. And so whatever it takes for you to come back to the surface, do it, and, share it and let others in and help you pull that rope up. It's like, don't do it alone. Take a deep breath, like we already discussed, taking deep breaths, and then talk about your burdens and your worries of the day and let them go one by one. That is why I am so vocal. When I say I'm in pain, I say it and then I'm done with it, but I have to voice it for whatever reason. That's how I work. I have to voice it. So when you say, how are you? I go, I'm in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
If you can't handle it, I'm still in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to do, because me releasing that statement allows me to go, okay, you said it, now move. It's like, that's just how I work, and it works for me. But whatever works for you is what I encourage every single person to do, is like find that niche that makes you take that next step when you don't want to. And you will find peace in that, a power and a strength and some sort of peace, and knowing that I pushed through that. Even if it was a tiny little step, you push through it that little bit. And that's what we're all trying to work towards, right? Doing what we can when we can. And that looks different from moment to moment, day to day, everything. And to give ourselves grace in that matter is the most important. So moving to the deep calls deep. This is this is Carol Red, very powerful on depression. And
Yeah.
so if you know someone or are, or have suffered or am suffering with depression, this is, a very raw book. And she has had everything thrown at her, from cancer to bipolar 2 to
Shock
deep
therapy.
depression, all the therapies that she's had to go through, multiple autoimmune. She also has gastroparesis. Our stories are the same and our struggles, except for I don't have, diagnosed mental illness, and I've never had, cancer. And she is much more afflicted than I am. She has progressed faster. She's been at it much longer. I did not get this until I think I was around 40 years old. And so anyway, I think I've had it because every time I would push myself, I would always feel so much pain in my life. But I just thought, well, I worked really hard. Forget it. But anyway, so this was released in 2020 during the pandemic. It's a raw and transparent account of her ongoing battles with depression, which often accompanies chronic illness. She takes us deep into the personal experience of being misunderstood, judged, and ostracized from something she was unable to control. She reaches out to those suffering and those who love and support them. Angie opens our eyes to the realities of depression, how she survives it, and how to be a friend and support those who fight the battle. So that's, she touches on, what not to say kind of thing in some of the chapters. Like so many, she was embarrassed by her depression and her bipolar disorder. But in her words, she said, God made it clear that if I hide, I cannot help. So if my words can give some glimmer of hope or save precious life on the edge of despair, wanting to end it all, any rejection I experience from writing will far outweigh my fear of judgment. And so she was encouraged through the word of God to write this book. And chronic pain, disease, and depression often go hand in hand. C.S. Lewis wrote, mental pain is less dramatic than physical pain, but it is also more common and also harder to bear. The frequent attempt to conceal mental pain increases the burden. It is easier to say my tooth is aching than to say my heart is broken. Correct. And, we have some people who have, some who have fought and lost the battle to depression, like my brother, and some who have fought and are still with us, who are battling depression. And we need to, be there for them and let them know how loved they are all the time and support them in ways that they need, not we need, And so she describes depression as a hurt like nothing else. The guilt.
In the chapter 6, she said, what is depression like? It's like drowning, except everyone around you is breathing.
Yep. And the guilt from it is so immense that what she surmised was like pulling yourself out of it was nothing short of a miracle. She describes how very real depression is and what it looks like to fight it. She says you feel like you're just existing. Like Dawn says, you feel like nothing. You have nothing more to give. You are walking wounded. Everything hurts. You feel broken beyond repair. Hope is not even a word. It's only a distant memory. The crying will never stop. It can overwhelm at unexpected moments, at dinner, a doctor appointment, and always at night. And she reiterated, always at night. The days drag on like eternity, like walking in glue, and the loneliness is so unbearable and suffocating. She says, she goes on to say, chronic illness of any kind will consume you. It has people resorting to drugs and alcohol for relief. Your thoughts are consumed with what you are feeling 24/7, and there's no escaping what is battling on inside of you, whether it is depression or pain. You form an innate ability to fake it around outsiders, smiling, pulling yourself together on the outside while dying on the inside. And I can promise you, I say all the time, if I look like $1 million, it's because I feel like zero. It's like, because I mask my pain with makeup and wigs and good hair and just try and fool, right? Try and fool everybody. I just am like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I call it, I spoke on this part, I call it the invisible diseases. You look good, so you must be feeling good. I have
Right.
literally grown. Oh, I already told you that story about the grown man. And so your true family and friends will allow you to say, I don't feel good without judgment. Sit quietly with you as you suffer, make you smile, distract you from your pain. They won't leave you because it's too much for them or suggest ideas that are ridiculous. And there are so many of those ridiculous ideas. Angie stated, when I would muster the strength to open up and share that my depression was severe, I felt like I had to put a positive spin on it, or else they'd think I was being too negative. Isn't that the
Yeah.
truth, right? You always have to go, yeah, I'm not feeling good, but I'm okay. I'm
Yeah.
okay.
Hmm.
I'm doing it. I'm still surviving. I always just shrug my shoulders. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So don't be afraid to discuss your truth. Compassion should not be withheld because it's uncomfortable.
Right.
And so, that, Barbara had to leave.
I know. I was wondering where Barbara went.
She has an appointment. And so Henry
We need her
Nguyen,
information.
pardon?
We need her information.
Oh yeah, I'll ask her and share. She's a great gal.
Yeah.
Henry Nguyen describes compassion. The word compassion is derived from the Latin words pati and cum, which together mean to suffer with. Compassion asks us to give where it hurts, to enter into places of pain, to share in brokenness, fear, confusion, and anguish. Compassion challenges us to cry out with those in misery, to mourn with those who are lonely, and to weep with those in tears. Compassion means dull immersion in the condition of being human. And that is, a tough skill, right? You can find more coping skills in her book. But anyone want to touch on how difficult it is to say the right things to people or have people say the right things to you? Any experiences?
I have something. I feel like I need to be on here only because my mom passed 5 years ago,
Yes.
and I wish I would have known.
You've known that she was passing, or
know that she was dealing with what you're dealing with, and Carol's dealing with.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're
To have
here.
you guys.
We're here to support you in whatever
Because
way that
losing
looks
her-
for you. Yes.
Losing
I
her
can-
hard, and not knowing what she was going through.
Yeah. So she
And-
kept it to herself.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she was gone in 2 months. She passed away on my birthday 5
Oh.
years.
Wow.
So sorry.
So when I
Yeah.
met Carol feels like my mom.
Oh.
There's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, she's a doll.
So I just want to say, I might look great, whatever, not have problems or whatever,
Yeah.
but it's a different situation that I know I'm supposed to be around you guys because
Yeah.
I'm learning. And if I wish I would have known how hurt my mom was and what she was going through, I could have helped her. I wish I
Yeah.
would have done this.
Yeah.
But I know that I have to talk about it too because it's hard to lose your mom when you're young.
Yeah.
I would have never thought in a million years.
You
In a
see,
million years, mom.
Mhm.
And you have to be kind to yourself,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and your mom wouldn't want you to be in pain about that because I'm sure she knew that you loved her.
No, she tells me all the time,
Yeah.
give it to God, leave it alone, don't go there because
Yeah.
I can definitely get upset and don't
Yeah.
want to think about it and don't want to do anything. But it's been
Yeah.
hard for 5 years, and I hate talking about it all the time. But with listening to Tammy and all of that you're going through, I think she had all this going, but no one knew what was going on.
Mhm.
Yep.
You know, and then she was gone. So I don't know how long she struggled.
Yeah,
When I
she
tell you-
probably was protecting you
Right.
Oh,
from her
Right.
pain. Yeah, I did the exact opposite, and I battle with that all of the time. I have 6 children, and they range from 21 to 38. And like I said, I got sick when the youngest was 2. I was very open about all of my journey, as my family will say. I have shared and told them everything. And I raise a bunch of smart Alex. And so when the doctors told my husband to organize a funeral because I wasn't going to make it in 2009, my children, there's a picture, and I don't have it, they have it. There's a picture of me looking like a dead tree, completely gray, in the hospital. And the 6 of them around my bed laughing with a magic marker, a permanent marker they were going to draw all over my face.
Oh
And I was like, they showed me it much, much, much later. I think it was actually years later. I didn't even know this existed.
Oh.
And the stories of the kids, you know, around the dinner table start coming out, and they show me the picture. And I was like, you little shits. But that is how they cope. They are like little smart Alex, and that's how I raise them. I love them too. I raise all my children to be strong in themselves and stand up and say whatever's on their mind, as long as, you know, it's not disrespectful. But
when I was on that medicine, Lacey was in every day. I mean, I have
I'm like,
I had to go on, I can never say it, MTX. Dawn, you would know. Metratextrate, Mexitrex. Yeah, they had me on that. It's chemotherapy, immunotherapy, for this RA. Well, this little one here. So what brought Lacey and I, we just connected, but her mom's, her birthday is the same day as my mom's birthday.
Oh, wow.
And her mom passed away on her birthday.
Yeah.
And my mom, and this little one here, she just sends me every holistic or any, like everything possible. If you don't have to do this, then don't go on that medicine, try this. So she's just a little love. I adore her.
That's awesome. Well, you need each other.
We do.
And I really believe in like signs. Like I never used to, honestly, until one day, you guys, I was yelling at my sister.
Yeah, I was good. Cry.
And, you know, to my mind, because I was like, damn it, I know you want to be with your kids and stuff, but you could give me one effing sign, you know? I'm like, would it kill you? And that day, it was so funny. I went to this place and there was all these sunflowers and everything. And so I knew that was coming. But then I went into this one little shop and there was all these little sunflower things, you know, and I bought a bunch of things for the kids. And I was putting it in my car, and then all of a sudden one of our songs came out on the big speaker. It was like, and I'm just like, all right, finally, thanks, Winch, you know? But I do believe now in signs. Like the other day, it was so funny. It was, you know, her birthday, and I'm coming out. I did not plant any sunflowers this year. I've just been on a whatever. Yeah. And I didn't do it. Last year, my sister-in-law, I wouldn't do it. And she like put them there and they all came out. So this year I just didn't. And all of a sudden I'm coming out and it's her birthday and there's this little tiny sunflower peeking out the front of my house.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. But I really think, you know what? This is your mom pushing you.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
To the people you need to be with. And it's her way of saying, I couldn't tell you then. I didn't want to tell you then. No. I wasn't for, you know, maybe it was easier for her. Everybody deals with these things differently.
The guilt. She didn't want the guilt of you having to sacrifice yourself for her.
So this is maybe her way now of saying, okay, this is my way. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to bring you to people who go through, you know, went through what I do. Maybe you weren't ready then, and now you are.
And that is how Angela was to me. Like she just popped in on my life, and her books and her words were like so impactful to me that I invited her to be here, and I hope she's listening, and just say, you know, thank you, Angela. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Angela. And that's like I gotta say too, Dawn, I think you came at the right time. I mean, it's weird. It took us like almost 60 years.
I know.
You came.
Isn't that weird?
Dawn's, hopefully we have another chat and we're going to talk about Dawn's life's work, because it came at such, it just, everything is just weird. Again, I feel like Kim brought us, like you to us or something at the right time. It's just weird.
Dawn, please share what you do and the organization that you're part of, so that the girls will have that information for them. And
so it you know, and it is sad and it's kind of dark, but it's another chronic disease. It really is I think it falls in so much to my work as a nurse to care about this issue. But I have, since 2016, took it upon myself when I found out that no one was been documenting research and documenting all women and girls murdered by men and boys in the United States since 1950. And I actually started in 2016, and as I was doing the work, and I get most of my information from news articles, what you're looking at curates, what you're going to see next. And so I would see cold cases that were solved or cold cases that weren't solved, or cases from past years. And I thought I really wanted to go back to have kind of this catalog of information for researchers, for just because I think it mattered that these women existed. A lot of the information has disappeared or is disappearing. And so I feel like it's very important to get data, both qualitative and quantitative data, about what is happening to women and girls, and
Well, good for
to be
you.
able to see, is it getting better? Is it getting worse? I mean, a lot of
Wow.
basically what I found is, that law enforcement agencies are supposed to be reporting their homicides to the federal level. It was to the FBI, UCR at that time. It's changed to a different acronym, but that it's not compulsory, so they don't have to. And for instance, Florida for many, many years reported none of their homicide data. And with my background in nursing, you have to take research and statistics and be able to look at studies and say, that's crap or that's not. And so I just wondered, how can we make pronouncements about whether things are getting better or worse if we're using incomplete data? Are they extrapolating? What are they doing? But it is primarily, to me, a sacred space to remember women and girls.
Yes. I'd like to have a talk on domestic abuse soon. So I also, welcome you guys to send me messages on topics that you would like to broach. Like this one, Carol really wanted to broach. So I put it together And Debbie, let me just read what Debbie wrote here. Linda, that is exactly what happened with me. It was the day before my son's birthday, and I was struggling terribly, mentally praying for a sign that he is okay. I walked outside onto the deck, looked down, and there was this perfect heart on the deck, surrounded by frost. There was absolutely nothing and nobody around it to make it. I ran in the house and grabbed my camera. To this day, I know that was a God wink, God's way of letting me know Adrienne is okay. Yes, so she lost her son way too early in life. And
So sorry.
yes,
Oh,
and so
God.
she always sees hearts everywhere. That is her God winks, and so it's precious. But so yes, so please send me messages on topics that you would like to cover. I know that domestic abuse is on the top of my list, Dawn. So we can put something together if you like, and then we'll go from there. So I am no longer going to try and wrangle people for dates. I'm just going to pick them. And so I believe that we discussed Tuesday nights on the East Coast, 8 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesday nights. So it's going to be the first and third Tuesday of every month. So now I don't have to send a lot of texts and a lot of emails going, when's a good day? When's a good day? Oh, I haven't received a good day yet. So we're just gonna keep it that way, keep it simple. And so if that works for everybody, say yay.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tuesday nights, first and third of the month, and we'll have topics. So we have, we just did this one early. So the third of the will be the 19th. So I'll get working on the 19th on a topic. And if anybody wants one topic that you particularly want to embrace right now, say it, and we'll work on that one. If you want to do if you want more time, Dawn, we can put the domestic abuse into next month. That's totally fine.
Yeah, whatever you'd like to do. I'm ready at any time. It's something I'm actually going to be doing a presentation for the University of Arizona tomorrow for their they have a graduate human rights class. So, yeah, I just, definitely put some warnings. I mean, it's not particularly graphic, but it is, it's pretty heavy. So,
Yeah,
I can do
know
an
that-
outline, like a intro, my typical intro that I use, and then you can kind of be the main speaker on that topic if you want.
yeah, and actually next month might not be bad, but just because it's the beginning of the school year, that would be probably better.
Yeah, so we'll push that
Okay.
talk then to next time, and maybe we'll do something lighthearted. I know that one of our friends that likes to participate, Natalie, she went through, dropping her daughter off at college.
yeah.
And so maybe we can discuss about, letting them,
Empty nest.
yes, letting them fly the roost, right? So,
Even
so-
looking forward to the
Lacey has-
empty nest, Lacey.
yes.
No, I just
So,
got mine back.
so
I
we can,
married mine off, and she came back. So I'm happy.
oh gosh,
Great.
yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we can talk about the paying the
We
growing
can talk about that
pains,
too.
growing pains go.
Yes.
And so I wish mine would get the hell off my payroll. I'm still paying rent and groceries and phone bills and insurance.
Yeah.
The
Ugh.
groceries. Can we talk about the groceries?
Oh my God. Well, let me just
Oh.
say, my kids think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I come from the Trump line or something because they're like, hey, Mom, I need to go to Costco today. What do you need, Sid? Oh, I need crab and steak. You're who needs crab and steak in college? But guess what Mom did? I went and got her
They can
crab
bring
and
up
steak.
Your River Ranch
Yes.
steak place.
You,
yeah.
you. I can tell you where to get some good steak.
Yeah, yeah, I know, Lacey. I haven't even looked
I
into that
promise.
yet.
I promise.
Go
It's-
ahead
it's
and
worth
talk
it.
about your little business before we
Okay,
go,
well-
and then we'll end the call.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I didn't think I was gonna do this.
That's okay.
And all that, and I actually painted cabinets, and now I'm just like, that's a lot of work. So I kind of redid a whole kitchen, redid a whole
Wow.
Oh,
kitchen.
nice.
So I'm like,
Yes,
I'm done with
great.
that. So I decided to join this company, and the main thing is to get good food, make sure there's good meat, nothing in them. And so it's Riverbend Ranch Steakhouse, and it's in Idaho, and it's an awesome steak, awesome meat. It's got
It
hamburger
is.
steaks, roasts. I mean, you can't go wrong. The prices are not that bad. It's a monthly subscription is the only thing. The company is actually Melaleuca. It's called Patriot Switch. And I just switched all of my laundry cleaning products to safe products. So it's not like you're buying extra or anything like that. That's what I want to make clear. It's
Right.
already just switching what you're already buying. So for me, it's awesome. It has great laundry soap. They have baby items, laundry, cleaning, vitamins, everything. And then they
You can
just
put
added.
your link in the comment.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And then it has the beef. Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
will.
put your link in the comment.
Okay.
and
Does
then
the
people-
beef go anywhere nationally?
Yes,
Like, do they-
yes.
oh, okay.
So it's
It's
from
the
Montana
best.
and
It's the best
Idaho,
I've
and
ever had.
Carol ordered a bundle, and it's shipped to Carol, which is crazy, in dry ice. So Carol
Yeah.
got a bundle, and I'm telling you, the beef is amazing. There's nothing bad in it. It's all
Right.
grass fed, no, what is it, hormones.
Yeah.
They even have hormonal free perfume.
Yeah,
Mm.
and
I didn't
it's
know about that. So
$6.15 a pound for ground meat where I live. $6.15 a pound, and it's
Yeah.
$5.50 a pound
for
that.
hamburger.
Oh,
Yep.
And
Yep.
It's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
red.
Yeah,
I mean,
so put
it's
your
red from
link in there, and then
top to
everybody
middle
can go
and the
to it
bottom.
and look at it if they're
that's
interested.
awesome.
Yeah,
and then
super
what I'm gonna
no,
what I'm
no
gonna-
pressure. No
Yeah.
pressure.
what I'm
No,
gonna
that's
do.
good. No, that's good though. I want to check it out because we just had to throw out $800 worth of meat because our
Oh,
the
God,
new
really?
freezer went bad and nobody covered it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh no.
Do is make a document every time someone has a little business to promote. I'll like put Barb's up there, Lacey's,
Yeah.
and Dawn, and and so I'll just start building a
Yeah.
doc supporting women's businesses,
I gotta go
and
get my
we'll
link.
all have access to it. And I'll every time we have a chat, I'll update it more, and you'll have access to that. So as you see the ticket thing going along the bottom, I put 800 numbers for hotlines.
Yeah, that was great, Tammy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you know anybody who needs it, it's there. But for now, this went long, and I knew it might because it's such a big topic. It's no way you can cram that in and try and feel connected in an hour's time. So I really appreciate your time and everything that you've contributed to this talk. I'm so excited about doing this. I can't even tell you. Thank you, Lacey. I will put together some fun conversation about motherhood and for the next time, lighthearted, that we can all, get to. Dawn, do you have children?
I do. I have, I thought I was muted. Yes, I have one daughter. She's 31.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have 4 daughters, 2 sons, and they range from the 21, 23, 25, 27. She'll be 34 next month and 38.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Lacey, what are your children's age?
So 2 girls and 2 boys, 21, 18, 17, 15, 14.
Oh, nice. And Carol,
I know.
Carol, your children's age?
37 and 27.
There you go. And Olinda.
Oh gosh. 38, 34,
Uh-huh.
30. Oh God.
Do I hear
30.
that too?
30 and 27.
27.
Nice.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're all moms, and I know that the other gals, I'm not sure if Barbara has children. I never asked her. Isn't that funny? But and Debbie had 2 sons. One passed early, and her son is in his 30s as well. And so anyway, I love you all. I'm so happy we brought up this really tough topic. We conquered. I hope people who are watching has learned something from this, and all the viewers out there on all the different social media platforms, thank you for being with us. If you have any questions or concerns, or want the titles of the books, links to the books, just let me know. Send me a private message. If you would like to be informed before I start advertising with social media on the topics that are coming up for the month, send me your email and I will add it to the email list, and you will be the first to know what the topics are. And any suggestions that you may have, even as viewers, that you would like to hear about, let me know. We'll add them to the roster. So everybody, yay, we did it once again.
Dating game goodbye.
Yay.
Thank you, Tammy.
Have a great day. Have a pain-free day, hopefully, and love you all.
Bye, Olinda.
Bye. Love
Bye.
you.
Bye, Debbie. Debbie, call me. I'll go for a coffee.
Bye, Barb.
Drive carefully. Bye.
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 Don't come back down here. How do you get out? How do you get out here?